Today, we are building a pretty quick and easy build. We are doing this Minecraft, I guess, cave entrance to a mine or something along those lines. It looks really cool though. I'll do a swivel. Well, not a swivel kind of, but just a couple of pictures of it and views of it, just to show you guys what it's like. If you guys do like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And for those of you who are new, I am YoMikester238. I usually do build tutorials and this sort of stuff. And today we are back to build tutorials because it's been a while. We've done a lot of special and fun different videos, but today is a tutorial. It's a bit more of an organic build too, so it's a bit trickier to kind of show you guys how to do it. So follow along the best you can, but some of this you will have to do yourself. For the materials, I will go ahead and provide them in just 1 second, but they will be a very rough estimate because once again, it's an organic build and you guys won't build this the same way as me. But I hope you guys do enjoy today's video. So, the very first thing you want to go ahead and do is get some materials out, which we're going to be getting warped nylium, netherrack, blackstone stairs, and blackstone slab as well. And since this is more of an organic build, I'm kind of not going to actually lay down a grid this time, and I'm just going to kind of freehand it, but show you guys my process, my methods as I begin to design this, and some key features that make this pop out and look a little bit better than it would otherwise. So we'll get our blackstone out, and once you have your mine cave, your destination chosen where you want to build your entrance to your mine, we'll go ahead and start just clearing out maybe a little bit of area just so that you can place down some blackstone pillars. We're going to make a blackstone arch first of all, because that's probably one of the smartest ideas to do, is to form the entrance of the cave so we can see how much space we've got to work with. So after clearing out just a little bit of space, I'd probably say that's good enough. I'll go ahead and just start randomly placing down some blackstone until it starts to kind of form a little bit of a pillar. And you will eventually blend this in with some netherrack and whatnot to make it look like it's actually kind of natural, because we don't want something looking unnatural when we're going for kind of a cave entrance look to our build. So with this, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a little bit of an arch going over and around. It's almost like an upside down parabola. And that's kind of what you want. A natural cave arch is that's what it's supposed to look like, an arch. St. Louis arch. Think of that when you're thinking of the shape you're building and designing, so that you can have this nice round shape. And as you can see, I'm really just placing down a bunch of blackstone, just kind of stepping back every once in a while to make sure it's looking good. Looks to me like it actually needs to be a tiny bit more on the open side so we can break some blocks and make this a little bit bigger. But it's a nice process too. It's one of those builds where you can't really build it wrong, and you won't be building this step by step obviously when you're watching my tutorials and everything, but hopefully this will kind of show you the methods that I take to start building my arch. And once you get it kind of looking where you want it, I think I might actually want it to be a little bit lower. You're just going to keep finagling it and just looking at it, taking a step back and going, that looks pretty good. We might want to incorporate some of this blackstone into the wall and make it a little bit more. I guess I could fill in the top right here with some blackstone too. That way we can put some nylium on, some warped nylium, and some of the netherrack as well. And the way you blend in the netherrack and all that is you basically just go over it. And netherrack, usually when it has a base below it or some sort of object below it, we usually only go about 2 thick down with the netherrack, kind of like that, and then you want nylium. So try not to go below this 2 block limit when you're placing in some netherrack and stuff to blend it in. But basically you'll start putting this netherrack around and just kind of looking at it. You do want the top of the cave to be topped off with a lot of nylium, because that way it looks like it's actually built into the mountainside. So make sure to coat the entire thing in some nylium like that. And you can see it's definitely starting to take a little bit more shape now and blending in with the environment, which is perfect because we don't want a base that doesn't blend in. In other words, it doesn't look natural and it kind of defeats the purpose of this whole build you're doing. So maybe some netherrack right there. It's really just a lot of eyeballing it too and just hoping that it looks good, taking steps back and going, okay, I see where I could add maybe like some netherrack right there, or maybe a little bit more of actual blackstone right there. And yeah, you start to get this nice looking shape. It's starting to look really cool. Tell me if you guys like these types of builds too, because I know they're a bit more, they're on the more difficult side of things to do since they are natural builds and everything. So I can't actually give like step-by-step process, but tell me if you guys like these builds, because I think they're cool. They kind of teach you guys how to do a bit of landscaping, a little bit of organic shapes and whatnot, and they help you out. So now that we got that, which is a rough shape, I'll probably finagle with it a bit more to make it look a little bit better. We can go ahead and start adding in some random stairs and slabs, just where you kind of see where it looks like it needs a little bit of connecting points, or if you want just a bit more detail popping out. And by adding these little shapes in random spots and kind of eyeballing it, making it look good, you begin to get this more cave look kind of going on. Maybe some more blackstone right there, something like that. But yeah, So we'll go ahead and do the arch right here, and then we'll start working on the interior of the cave or something along those lines. I'll see what the next step is as we progress. So the next materials we will go ahead and get is, if we open our chest, it's going to be a block of coal, blackstone, warped warp block, and grass path as well. And this is where, now that we got this kind of cave in the background, and as you can see, another thing I did add to add a bit more details, I added kind of some blackstone veins going behind it. That way this blackstone doesn't look totally out of place in this environment. Once again, it's all about making it look natural, like it blends in. But the next thing we want to do is we want to have a clear, distinct line on where the cave starts. And usually when you go into a cave, if you guys have ever been spelunking or cave exploring at all, when you go into a cave, the grass kind of stops and just immediately turns into some sort of stone or mud. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of simulate that by creating a line right at the entrance of grass path and some warped warp block. First, I'm going to put some grass path down, which if we start bringing this all around up here, we want it to be kind of a bigger area, but not too terribly big. I'd say maybe one more block right there. And another thing you want to do, this kind of annoys me, is if you put the blackstone underneath, because grass paths are like 1 pixel below ground. That way this looks a little bit more natural. You can see we got rid of these disgusting blue lines underneath, so we can go ahead and get rid of those by just putting some slabs on top or just putting some blackstone underneath like so. Now that we got that though, we'll go ahead and we want it to look like it transitions from the warped nylium to the dead grass to kind of a cave-like interior. And the way we do that is using warped warp block actually. So if we sprinkle in a few warped blocks every once in a while, and you do want to put quite a few warp blocks, I would say, just because this gives it the illusion that the ground is most definitely changing from the original color of the warped nylium. So as you can see, just putting some warp blocks in around, and I would say that looks like a pretty good blue color. Maybe actually a couple up here too. You know, I'll just replace all of those like that. And you can definitely see it transitions from one color to another. Maybe put some specks of warped nylium on the inside as well. So it looks like it's kind of corrupting as it goes out. And then the next thing you want to do is using just coal and blackstone every once in a while, just kind of sporadically. These are the two main materials I will use to construct the mine. So we'll just keep, just interchanging these every once in a while. Some coal, some blackstone, some coal, some blackstone, until you get the floor and the transition looking nice and well. So let's see what that looks like. If we walk on out here, you can see now there's a definitive line where the cave goes ahead and crosses. And another way to, again, make it look like it's transitioning is by every once in a while adding a few specks of your material overlapping into the other areas of where the material lays. So maybe one. It's a lot of finagling and just trying to make it look right. I would say maybe adding grass path right there and warped warp block right there. But as you can see, what it does is it creates this kind of separation line. It makes the cave look like it actually has an entrance that you walk into. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace every single one of these blocks with some blackstone, which I know you guys don't want to see, so I'll skip right over that, and that way we can get the atmosphere of the cave looking well. For the next part, we're going to want to go ahead and get the materials of gilded blackstone, nether gold ore, and basalt. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the basalt on the edges, because that's usually what basalt is used for in this kind of building terrain. When you're terraining and whatnot, you kind of just put it around the corners of the build. And as you can see, maybe replacing this block and making that one a couple tall, putting one random one there. Yeah, just putting it on the side, I think it kind of fits. It fits the whole nethery theme of this. Maybe if we replace that one, that looks good. There we go. And then we get it on this side as well. So just kind of the bottom side corners. It doesn't really matter how much you put, although I wouldn't recommend going crazy with the basalt unless you want to. I guess it's really up to you, however you want your cave to look, but maybe one right there like that. As you can see though, it gives the cave a bit more of a foundation, and it looks like something you could actually find naturally in Minecraft. With that now, we're gonna go ahead, and this is a gold mine. One of the reasons you would mine in the nether is if you're doing this in survival, or if you want nether quartz, or the term is kind of blanking on me. Netherite. If you want that too, that's probably a good idea to go mining and whatnot. So what we're gonna do though is to give it more of a mine-like area feel to it. We're gonna add some gold there, and just some gold every once in a while around that, kind of in the nether rack, this nether gold ore. You want to add it in some places, but not too many. You don't want to overdo it. And I would say that looks just about right actually. From there, we can go on the inside. And when I did say earlier too, I said I was going to replace this with blackstone. I also replaced it with a lot of coal block as well, because I really like this very, very dark. It's darker than blackstone, a little bit darker, and I think it contrasts very well. So what we can do though also is adding some gold ore veins, or with the gilded blackstone, but you don't want to add too many with the gilded blackstone. Not only is it rare to get, but it's also, you just don't want to go too crazy with that sort of stuff, because if you go too crazy, then the mine doesn't look good. But as you can see, I would say that's, maybe replace that block right there with one right there. Yeah, I'd say that's looking pretty good with the amount of gold we have. It might be a little overkill with the netherrack. I might actually dim this down just a little bit by replacing a few blocks with just regular netherrack and just making that a 1 block ore right there. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. I think that looks a little bit better on that side. But yeah, you can definitely see now when we walk into it, we have some color too that differentiates from all the blacks. It's a little bit of a yellow, so it pops out a bit. Next thing we're gonna do is add more decorational features as well. Now for the more kind of decorational materials, so it is kind of random. We're gonna get black stained glass pane, blackstone wall, soul campfire, chain, soul lantern, soul torch, black carpet, and polished blackstone as well. Polished blackstone button, excuse me. So what we're gonna be doing is adding a lot more detail to this. I only use the wall in kind of one spot, and that's just at the entrance. I like having it so that we can dangle a chain from this little wall right here. But from there, I'll go ahead and put 2 chain. Let's see if that's too much, with the lantern on the bottom, and put the lantern there. Obviously that is way too low. I do not like that at all. So we'll just do 1 chain. And I would say that that's actually perfect right there. I like how, yeah, I like the height of that chain and the lantern. From there, we'll go in the middle, and since it's a bit bigger, I'll go ahead and actually put 2 chain down this time. And see, no, but I don't want it to be the same height. So I'm actually gonna just go ahead and do 1 chain instead right there. Ooh, another decorative block I forgot. This one's harder to come by if you're doing this in survival, but some wither skulls looks really cool sitting at the entrance. If you have them just placed sporadically, maybe about 2 spots, I'd say that looks pretty good. Maybe even 1 more. There we go. Some wither skeletons just to give it a bit more oomph. So now that we got that though, and we got the lanterns hanging up, those are some of the main details right there, ones we really want that look really cool. We're gonna go ahead and get a soul campfire, and I'll have to replace some of these blocks too. And we actually probably want some slabs, blackstone slabs. We'll put the campfire back there. And you want to make sure when you place the campfire that it has some blocks for the smoke to go up, because if you don't have space for the smoke to go up, it gets all cluttered and it looks really ugly. So make sure to have some areas where you can go ahead and have the smoke kind of fade away. It doesn't matter where it is, it just needs to be able to go up. So if we put a campfire right there though, and then we get a slab right next to it, it gets this beautiful looking blue flame. And right here you can see I'm missing a block right there actually. And I absolutely love the blue flame. I'm gonna add that in a few other spots, maybe right here. We'll put some slabs there and start replacing this interior. You want the smoke to kind of be hidden, so make sure to put some blocks that can maybe kind of hide the view of the smoke, because the smoke looks a little gross. I wish you could just do campfires with no smoke, but that's not possible. So we'll put another blue flame right there, and you can see already the cave is beginning to light up and have some color. It looks absolutely amazing. I love it looking like that. Maybe, I'm trying to think of where, let's do a high one actually. A high campfire built into this wall over here would probably look pretty darn cool. So we'll put some right there. The campfire will probably go in that block, so we have to replace these with blackstone or coal. And I will say one thing too, if you're building this and you're using the coal blocks, make sure that you're not by lava. I don't know if coal blocks can burn or not. I think they can though, so watch out for that. Oop, nope, we want... I wasn't expecting that to not be able to see it from the ground. I guess if you just want the campfire like that, see, that's the only problem though, is with that. Let's go ahead and put this back. There you go. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, another detail we can add is torches using soul torch particles. What we're gonna do is we're gonna replace a ton of the floor, and we're gonna place in a bunch of black carpet just here and there, just kind of haphazardly all over the place to give it a scattered miners looking feel. But what you'll notice is that we get some particle effects if we put these torches underneath the carpets. So if we just do this in a lot of spots, it eventually creates this really cool blue effect. And since we're in the blue biome, I forget what the biome is called, but since we're in this blue biome, this is perfect. This is what we need to kind of add a bit more detail, a bit more depth to this cave. So I'm gonna keep just going around here and there, adding in these torches. And you wanna make sure they're placed on walls too. I'm pretty sure if you just like set them down, then you won't be able to see this cool blue specks, but you can see what I'm talking about. It just cool. That's the best word to describe it right there, is it looks really nice. And if you put it on different walls and walk back, you can see you get these nice blue specks coming up, and I love that with the smoke coming up from the ground too. It looks like it's a very hot place to be in, which is kind of what we're going for. From there, I did have black stained glass pane. Let me find it again. And this adds a bit of a fog effect. If we just throw in some black stained glass paint. The blocks are already so dark around it that it creates this nice fogginess. You can see, oh, I just love that. I love that as a detail. If you're playing this in your own world, it's easier to see than if you're watching my video, because my video quality is not the greatest, but it adds this nice black fog that you wouldn't get otherwise, and it almost makes it look more ominous. I don't know what it is about it. Oops, not on the grass path. You don't want it right there. It almost just looks ominous, and I really like that feature. I like that. Ooh, I did it again. Look at that. Place it on the grass path. Whoopsie. Let's get rid of that. But yeah, it adds just a tiny bit of fog and a bit more texture, a bit more detail, and you can go crazy with that if you want, because you can't really notice the black stained glass paint. It just kind of blends in there, and it looks really nice. And from there, you're almost just about done, actually. I think there might be a few more details. Oh yeah, the buttons. Adding in these polished blackstone buttons does add a bit more texture, and you can spawn-proof your floor too if you really want. But adding these in just kind of adds more detail. And I think there might be a couple more details I want to work on too. I'm going to go ahead and finagle with this until it looks very nice though. So we'll figure out what to do next. All right, and then some very last details I added that I'm not actually going to go over. I'll mention them, but I'm not going to like go ahead and build them. Is I did add some of these fires right here using some soil and some flint and steel to get the blue fire on the edges, because I thought that was really needed. I think that looked really cool. I also added in a bunch of iron bars, not a bunch, just a few, just to give it more of a mine shaft kind of feel to it. And then I put in this sign right here, which I'll fly right up too close. It says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here," which is a bit of a Dante's Inferno reference right there, if you guys know what that is. But I thought the sign was cool. It added a bit more to the mine shaft feel of this whole thing, because this is a mine shaft after all. And then I textured up the blackstone, because the blackstone was looking a little bit plain. So I did texture it up with some black concrete powder, which there's a few more places I could probably do that too, just to add things, just to add a bit more texture. But as you can see, that's what the mine looks like. And then your actual mine would be over here. Oh, I put some shulker boxes in too, because you'll probably want some of those when you're mining, collecting a bunch of resources and whatnot. And then this is the usual mining method I use too, where you just mine in a straight line and you just keep going down. And eventually you could if you wanted to make it look nice, you can have a kind of transition where the blackstone kind of fades. It fades into the netherrack. That way you don't have to keep replacing all the netherrack with blackstone, but you get this kind of nice faded look right here. But that's what the mine's like. Yeah, I think it looks pretty darn cool. It's a pretty simple build too. It's not too elaborate. It looks really nice. Look at this spot too that I found for it. I didn't even mean to, but I ended up building next to this huge nether fortress in this really cool area. But yeah, it definitely stands out. It looks like a mine. You'd be able to spot it if you were in the nether, because blackstone doesn't spawn in these blue biomes at all. So you'd definitely be able to spot it. And it looks really cool. The design is just very well put together, well done. With that said, that is the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out. I hope you guys enjoyed this too. I think it was a cool little build. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was definitely something a lot of people haven't thought about. You know, just cave entrances and that sort of thing in the nether. If you guys want to see more videos like this, comment down below more organic builds, or if you'd rather go back to, I guess, more structural, architectural builds. Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe specify what builds you want too, what genres and whatnot. But with that said, enjoy playing Minecraft as always, guys. I don't know when my next video is going to be, but it's going to be a fun one as usual. And I'll see you guys soon. And ciao.